Okay, so you're here because you want to get straight to the point, right? Find those insights, those aha moments, but without, getting totally overwhelmed.
Yeah, we get it. And today, we're doing a deep dive into someone who made a really interesting leap, Noah Kagan.
Right. He went from being like an early employee at huge places, Facebook, Mint, to actually founding and running AppSumo, which is a massive success now.
Exactly. And we've got some cool sources, AppSumo's own look back at 15 years, Noah's reflections, an interview, some marketing takes.
So the mission today is basically to unpack how he did that. How do you go from employee, even at cool companies, to building your own thing successfully? What were those key moves?
Let's start with that early experience because it's pretty wild. Facebook, employee number 30.
Wow.
Seriously. And then Mint, employee number 4. That's being right there in the engine room of hypergrowth.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing, was it? He's been really open about getting fired.
Yeah, from Facebook and Goldman Sachs before that. That must have been a blow. For sure. And he's said those kinds of setbacks really made him, reassess, like, what am I actually good at? Where do I fit? It wasn't just disappointment.
It sounds like it pushed him away from the standard career path.
Definitely. He developed this strong desire, I think he put it as, never get a real job again.
Huh, yeah. And his first goal wasn't like world domination. It was making $3,000 a month working from anywhere.
Which is pretty down to earth, really. It speaks more to wanting autonomy, I think, than getting rich quick. After those experiences, maybe control felt more important.
So how do you think those tech jobs, the good and the bad, shaped that specific goal?
Well, the growth experience at Facebook and Mint must have shown him the potential of tech, how to scale things. But the firings probably hammered home how little control you have as an employee, even a valued one.
Yeah, that makes sense. You want independence.
So that $3,000 wasn't just money, it was proof he could support himself on his own terms.
Okay, so that leads right into AppSumo. The idea itself seems, well, pretty straightforward now.
It does. Great software, great prices, promoted well, starting with an email list, simple, clear value.
No complex algorithm or anything, just connecting buyers and sellers.
Exactly. Solving a real problem. Entrepreneurs needed good tools, but maybe couldn't afford the regular price tags. AppSumo became the curator, the deal maker.
But how did he know it would work? That first step is always the hardest, right?
Right. And his first validation test was pretty bold. He went after Redditors.
Okay.
He figured lots of them used Imgur, right? So he just cold emailed the founder of Imgur.
No way. Just emailed him.
Yep, and somehow worked out a deal. Sell Imgur Pro subscriptions, get a $7 commission for each sale.
Wow.
And his goal wasn't massive. It was just, can I sell 200 of these? That was the test. Can this basic idea actually make any money?
What does that tell you? That whole approach?
It's pure hustle, isn't it? Don't overthink it. Don't wait for permission. Find a product, find an audience, ask directly, and set a small, achievable goal first. Prove the concept.
And wasn't there a story about getting free ads on Reddit? Something about breakfast and bacon.
Yeah, the bacon story.
Yeah.
It just shows that sometimes being bold, showing up, maybe offering breakfast can actually work. Resourcefulness matters.
And the tech behind it was super basic at first too, right?
Oh, totally. Like some borrowed PHP code hooked up to PayPal, super janky, as he calls it. It wasn't about perfection.
It was just about seeing if anyone will click buy.
Exactly. That first dollar, he always talks about that. It makes the whole thing real. Hitting those 200 Imgur sales wasn't just $1,400 in commission. It was proof. It was validation.
Okay, so zooming out a bit, what are the bigger strategies we can pull from this? He obviously didn't stop with Imgur deals.
Well, one thing he emphasizes is the market. He believes the future size of the market you're entering is, like, almost everything.
How so?
When AppSumo started, there weren't that many software tools. Maybe 10 decent ones, he said. Now there are millions. He got into a market that was poised to explode.
So picking the right wave to ride.
Sort of, yeah. And having clear principles from the start. He talks about their mom, the master operating manual.
My guiding rules.
Exactly. Unchanging principles for the business. Like Amazon's obsession with the customer. AppSumo has its own core tenets that guide decisions, even as things change.
And that validation thing we talked about, that seems crucial.
Absolutely critical. Always test before you invest heavily. The Imgur experiment is the perfect example. Start lean, stay janky in the beginning.
Don't build the Taj Mahal before you know if anyone wants to visit.
Precisely. He even mentions manually sending out those first Imgur Pro codes. You don't need automation for everything right away. Validate first, then build.
There's also got to be persistence, right? Starting is one thing, but sticking with it.
Oh, Huge. He says starting's is easy, sticking with it is hard. Some years, he felt like they were just pushing a boulder uphill. It wasn't always glamorous growth.
And it seems like for him, it wasn't just about the business either.
No, that's a really interesting point. He talks about building a business that supports the life you want. Now, his focus seems to be shifting more towards family, supporting the next leaders at AppSumo. It's about the whole picture.
So AppSumo today, it started with $50 back in 2010. What does it look like now?
Well, it's an 8-figure business. They've partnered with like over 7,000 founders.
Wow.
And saved entrepreneurs over $500 million through deals. That's impact.
Huge impact. And they have really high revenue per employee, apparently. Plus, they've shared millions back with the entrepreneurs they feature.
Yeah, nearly $14 million. And some companies that launched on AppSumo, like SocialBee or Remo, ended up getting acquired later. Others saw massive user growth.
So it became a real launch pad.
Definitely. And they're still evolving, even building their own tools now, like customerfinder.ai.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for someone listening who's maybe thinking about making that jump from employee to founder?
I think it's that Noah's story shows it's not just about a brilliant idea. It's about really focusing on validation first.
Testing the waters.
Yes. And having core principles, understanding your market, and just sticking with it. Even when it's not easy, even when it's kind of janky, persistence is key.
So the challenge for you listening is, what's that first, maybe slightly messy, janky step you could take today to test out a business idea?
Yeah, what's your version of that $50 Imgur Pro experiment? Think small, think direct, think validation.
Definitely something all over. And of course, you can check out the sources we used for even more detail on Noah and AppSumo's journey